Oh, अच्छा इससे अच्छा 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 नहीं this में ऐसे दिखा है एक मिनट इसका कंपोजिशन सेटिंग क्या है 1920 डिपेंड ओके और ये है 23 मैन लेट्स गो फिर से BOH कराने बोल रहा है wait. Okay. Hmm. बहन बोला हमको वीकेंड बनाने वाला बना दिया बहन बहन बिस्मिल्लाह अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह what is this Atom X Elgato Stream Deck MK2 giveaway I have no idea what that even means but that doesn't matter let's continue with our work wait did it still sound good enough I think it still sounds good okay it sounds a bit muffled but I guess it's still fine hello mic check I'm literally by your side no I was scratching my balls I was scratching my ball okay it's too fast okay this should be better let's continue what was I doing anyways
Integration. We've also talked about this in other videos. In the real world, light is always bouncing around, contaminating everything else with its colors. We want to do the same to our local colors. For this, I will grab the local color layer, duplicate it by clicking Ctrl D, and now for this one on top, I will go to my effects presets and look for hue and saturation, and throw it on top. In here I can play with the hue of these colors, its saturation, and even its brightness. But there's an extra button that says colorize. Now everything has been tinted by the same hue. I will search for a hue that's closer to the scene that we're in. Perfect. We can
okay wait I need to change something over here I suppose some warm color I require some warm color I think this is not good enough like saturation wait what wait what happened to my character bro okay wait okay it's 0,0 when it's 0 it's probably like gray and all I don't know about it I need to increase my workspace area a bit. Here's thing here. Good enough.
Increase the saturation a bit. And now by using a color blend, perfect, hue. I will search for a hue that's closer to the scene that we're in, perfect. We can
How did you even know? Colorize. Wait, nothing's changing. What's going on with you? Color hue, saturation. Wait, why is my hue changing now? What happened? What happened? Yes, reset, my friend. Let's colorize. Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. Bro, 28, 5, 25. Yeah, 25 was like the default value. Okay, so
increase the saturation a bit. And now by using a color blending mode, we will apply it on top.
okay, first I need to set out my color for this. Okay, first color saturation is gonna be like this. Wait, what did you do first in order to?
Closer to the scene that we're in, perfect.
What is the scene though? Purple. Green, yellow, red. Is this red? Orange. Yellow, orange, red. Green. Blue. I need a warmer color. Green, yellow. Channel range, color. Man, isn't there any other way to like select my color rather than like this thing left and right? Okay, 25 was wait, did I? Okay, first let me solve it on normal. Yeah. Green, yellow. I think this is a good color. And now I change it to color mode. Is it good enough?
We can increase the saturation a bit. And now by using a color blending mode, we will apply it on top. And you can see this doesn't work right now.
I don't know about that. Opacity. Around 25 was it? Okay.
I will press T for my opacity and throw it to 0.
Okay, wait, I need to like change the opacity to max and then like work accordingly. Effects. Okay, now let me like try to change something around color. Normal. I want it to be red. Wait, I think I want it red. More towards orange, I suppose. Yeah, something like this. Yes, okay. Now colorize it and then change the opacity a little bit. Let's go down to 0 and then slowly increase it till I'm satisfied with the result. $25. 25. Ooh, nice. Yes. I like it. I very, very like
Check
it.
this out. As I start bringing it up, there is a point, let's say around 20%, where suddenly the colors feel like they are actually contaminated by the light that's bouncing in the scene. This integration pass is what allows us to use whatever color palette we want while still just worrying about painting the local colors of my character. This way you can use the color of light to tell a story. But how do we know what colors to use? The key to this, as in everything in art, is to use references. But to know which references to search for, I recommend you create a color script, which is an exploration of what story your lighting and color will tell in each scene. Then based on that color script, you can create your mood boards for each of the specific sequences. You'll notice when you start gathering enough references for one sequence, there will be a common denominator. That is the mood that you're going for, and you can see how I applied it to each one of my scenes. Let's apply all of this to our scene. I will click on the character hair color and go to Layer, New, Solid. A solid is just a shape of a single color. Right now it will fill the entire screen, and I will fill it with her normal hair color. Click OK. Now it's on top of everything. And what we will do is while
you're gonna add a mask on it.
Created, go to the rectangle tool and click it to create a mask. I will drag it across the screen right at the point where her hair gradient will start, and see the solid is only lasting for a single second, so I have to stretch it to the end of the composition. And by clicking on this arrow, click again to open the mask options, and you can go to the feather option, which is how soft its edge is, and make it bigger. So it gives us that gradient for her hair. In After Effects, clipping works a little different. I have to duplicate my hair layer by clicking Ctrl D, and now I have to place it on top of the blue solid, and in the solid go to this option and select my hair layer by. In After Effects, clipping works a little different. I have to duplicate my hair layer by clicking Ctrl D, and now I have to place it on top of the blue solid, and in the solid go to this option and select the matte to be the hair color. And okay, let's create an integration pass, but this time I will select.
So nice. It looks so nice now. Oh, okay, let's continue. Where was I now? Wait, what's going on? Prop sumo. Wait, what even is prop sumo? Prop sumo, prop sumo, prapo, prapo, prop sumo, prop sumo, prop sumo, prapo, prapo, prop sumo, prop sumo.
Select all the layers that have the character's main color and click on Ctrl-Shift-C to create a pre-comp. Now we have all her color excluding the line art. Let's close this. I will duplicate this comp using Ctrl-D and repeat the process that we just learned.
Hmm. Wait, why did I undo that? Oh, can I make a comp under another comp? I think I should be able to. You know what? Let me. Wait, how do you actually do it though? Uh, wait, how do you even do that? Wait, I think it was a shortcut or something.
In this scene, the integration is very subtle, but you can see cases like this timeline inside of your timeline. So this one I will call Sarah Spaceship Full. Leave this on, click OK. So this one I will call Sarah Station, click Game. What we will do is select everything inside of the scene, and in your keyboard click Ctrl-Shift-C and create a pre-comp. A pre-composition is another timeline inside of your timeline. So this one I will call Sarah Spaceship Full. Leave this on, click OK. Now everything is inside of this composition, Sarah Spaceship Full, and if I double click, I go inside. You can also go back and forth between the two as they become tabs also. And in this pre-composition, I can go into composition and composition settings. And here is where you can modify your composition's size and even correct its duration. Now we can work on here freely. And if I go back to this one, this is our export. I can make it smaller and change the framing, but we'll worry about this in a bit. For now, let's just focus in here. So another important thing is whatever is above in the timeline is also on.
It was this composition setting 12, it's bigger, okay? This one's like, no. Composition settings was like lock aspect to, I mean, it is locked already, right? Okay, so that's the one, and this one is like the full scale of it, I suppose. Comp 1, okay.
Top. So of course, what I want to be on top of local that says colorize. Now everything has been tinted by the same hue. Let's apply all of this to our scene. Okay, let's create an integration. Turn our shadow layer to a multiply blending mode. And now that we know how to lower the opacity, we will press T. This one, I think around 60% is fine. Okay, so far so good. Now we can start working with gradients. That's another reason why we made this pre-comp with the entire contents of her color. because this also works as selection. If I duplicate it and place it here on top of the line art, turn off its opacity because we don't need it, it's only going to be a mask. We can make a new solid. Let's use a color like this one, maybe saturate it a little more and make it more greenish. Click OK, extend it to the end, and now we have this. Again, we're going to make a mask. By selecting the mask, you can move it around, or if you click over here, you can actually move the points. So let's do something like this and give it around 1,000 pixels of feather. Set it to multiply. And the final touch, place the Serra color precomposition on top. And again, on the solid, we will select this to be a matte. There we go. See, now there's a gradient on top of the entire effect. The Serra color precomposition on top. And again, on the solid, we will select this to be a matte. There we go. Multiply. And the final touch, place the Serra color precomposition on top. And again, on the solid, we will select this to be a matte. There we go. See, now there's a gradient on top of the entire character. This is quite dark, so we will lower its opacity to 50%. You see how there's some shadow on the seat? You can repeat this as many times as you like, using solids to create gradients and then masking it to your character. This one, I will just use the pen tool to do something like this.
Currently, I don't think my animation requires it.
We can make it so it's not there at the start.
Or should I? You know what? Let me try it out. Let me try it out. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, it looks like this. So GPU information. I have no idea what that is, but okay. Let's insert what do they call it? Okay, this one is like the one with the effects, and then I need to another one. Duplicate, my friend. Control D, and you know what? Let me see. Okay. Nothing. Absolutely nothing is there right now. Okay, so I'll be window workspace. It changes to this untitled workspace. Personal. I think I can now work on it. Personal libraries, all panels.
Only after this drawing, we start having this. To change the colors of the solid, all I have to do is go to Layer, Solid Settings. Let's make it more saturated, but lower its opacity. See, now there's 1,000 pixels of feather. Extend it to the end, and now we have this. Again, we're going to make a mask.
Okay. I'm gonna add some shadows to her chin, I suppose. Yeah, I think that's like a good thing to do. So let me wait, what did he do first?
By selecting the mask, you can have it more greenish. Click OK. Extend it to the end, a little more and make it more greenish. Let's use it. We don't need it. It's only going to and place it here on top of the line art. Turn off its opacity because we don't need it. It's only going to be a mask. We can make a new solid. Let's use a color like this one. Maybe saturate it a little more and make it more greenish. Click OK. Okay.
Okay, so greenish is not something that I was looking for. Man. Wait, what? Oh my gosh. Wait, why is it going like that? What the hell? Hmm.
Extend it to
Okay,
the end. And now we have this. Again, we're going to make a mask. By selecting the mask, you can move it around. Or if you click over here, you can actually move the points. So let's do something like this.
okay.
And give it around 1,000 pixels of feather. Set it to multiply. And the final touch
Multiply.
is the Serra color precomposition on top. And again, on the solid, we will select this to be a matte. There we go.
Wait a minute. Is it really necessary for me to do that though? Okay, let me try it out. Layer, new, solid, chin shadow. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna name it. Continue and okay, it's a red color, so that means I need to have it like this somehow. Did I? Okay. Wait, why is it below like this. Okay, and then I use wait, no. I did not mean to. I did not mean to add it, bro. Wait, wait, what
See,
am I
now there's
supposed
a
to click?
gradient on top of will. I'll touch 1,000 to move it around. We're gonna make a mask. By selecting the mask, you can move it around.
I did select the mask though. Or am I using... No. I have no idea what's really going on. I've selected the mask, bro. What's this, by the way? Mask, okay. Just like the mask setting. Okay, selection tool. Okay.
Or if you click over here, you can actually...
Okay, if I click over here, I can change it now. Okay. So that's how it works. I see. I think I should have gone for like a completely different shape. I don't know, but I guess this will suffice. Actually, you know what? Delete this. Let's ellipse tool. Yeah, I think that would be good. Much better. And now I'm gonna change some things around here. Wait, why is it behaving this way? I guess it's fine the way it is. It's gonna be somewhere over here. This one's gonna be over here. Let me change the angle a little bit. It's just gonna go down like this, and then feather options. Oh, let him cook. Let him cook. It's gonna be like this. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh man. Okay, I did this, and then I have to matte this. What is matte? Okay, it does not matte unless I duplicate this thing again using Control D and then put it on top. Okay, wait, I need to like multiply and then change the transparency a little bit. Yes. Yes. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay, similarly, let's add another mask. Wait, can we add another mask on top? Something like this. The only difference is like, no, I need to have it on a different layer for that. No way. Actually, no freaking way. Okay, so I have to like plan it way beforehand before actually working on it. I see how it is. I see, I see. But hey, definitely an improvement. Okay.
So let's do something like this and give it around 1,000 pixels of.
Wait, can I add more shadows anywhere? What about wait? Masks. No. Mm, Oh, I forgot I can do something like this already. Wait, how do I add extra? No. Wait, is it working though? Yes, it is actually working. Wait. Something like this. Yeah, it does. Oh my gosh, it does. Damn! I am pro After Effects man. Let's go. The record-breaking drone show Guinness World Records. I always knew that it's gonna be China, bro. I always knew about it. Okay, never mind. Close this thing. Oh my gosh. Wait, Mongol Star Trek is like online? Mongol. What is this? By the way, what's my CPU usage? What the hell? Adobe After Effects. I didn't know I was playing a game inside your thingy. Llama. PC pre-registration. Platform Monster Taming. Wait, it's already out? In-app marble, in-app purchase. Oh, April 15th official release. I see, I see. I gotta wait for 5 or 6 days, I suppose. Yeah, it's like 5 days. Ah, fa 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 fu fa fa fu fu fa fu fa fa fu fu fa. Okay, why is my internet slow, or more like my PC is getting slow?
So I had a chance to play Mongol Stardive for about 20 hours, and I gotta say, at first I didn't expect much from it, but the more I played it, the more I started to appreciate several of its aspects. I mean, these days, so many new gacha games get released, and the competition is cutthroat, so they really need to offer something interesting, and I believe this game achieves that with its unique and engaging monster collecting mechanic, and on top of that, the story is laid back and doesn't take itself too seriously, which is quite refreshing to see in a big title. And so in this video, I want to share my experience with Mongol Stardive, talk about its gameplay, story, and other cool things I found. Full disclosure, I was provided early access to the game's client by the developers because they wanted to support my channel, which I'm thankful for. But yeah, so what is Mongol Stardive all about? Well, at its core, it's an action RPG, but it puts a big emphasis on monster collecting. This is definitely not the first time we're seeing this. Obviously, Wuthering Waves has its ecosystem, but I really like it here because you can interact with the monsters themselves. Honestly, let me just go through the whole system now. So basically, the monsters you fight in the map zones can be absorbed by this adorable cat companion Nyanners, and each monster has a chance to become a monsterling, a super cute trinket that you can equip on your characters. What I really like about this is that you can see visually these
Oh
tiny
my
monsterling
gosh,
trinkets
wait.
appear on the app on
The
your
way she
characters.
turned.
What
The way she turned. Wait. I need to pause and see again.
I really like about this is that you
Oh my gosh. Oh my freaking gosh. Damn. Damn. The way
on
she
your
turned.
characters. What I really like about this is that
Okay. Yep. Let's play it. Yep.
you can see visually these tiny monsterling trinkets appear on the active unit. Now, every character can equip up to 3 monsterlings, although on this client I was only able to use 1 at a time because I couldn't progress further into the story. But each monsterling has 2 traits, which are basically stats for the equipped actual monsterlings items that they drop when you defeat them. And interestingly enough, some of these monsterling materials are also needed to craft the gear. So when you're farming, you will need to decide whether you want to create new equipment or improve specific monsterlings' link chain ability. Lastly, and this is the coolest part, you can combine 2 monsterlings, which results in a new one. And this so-called child can end up having a higher grade, and then it can either inherit its parents' traits, or you can uncheck this box and gamble for new ones. And if you look at the new traits, there's a chance to obtain some really powerful, bind them together and hope for the best. Although the visiting map areas. As I said, there's only a certain chance Nyanners will be able to create monsterlings out of the defeated monsters, but this will be one of the ways to grind in the game if you want to obtain the best traits, mutations, and max out link chain abilities. There's also this request board that refreshes daily, and you can pick up to 5 targets, go take out the enemies, and then turn in the completed requests for some extra premium currency and account XP. But of course, when doing these requests, there's also a chance you'll pick up some monsterlings along the way, so a win-win activity. And then there's boss fight activity called Conquest, from which you can also obtain boss monsterlings as well. I think that's pretty cool, but alas, I did it 4 times this week, and I didn't get a single monsterling out of this golem-looking boss. So hopefully, I'll be more lucky next time. Last thing I want to mention is that you can also track all of the monsters in this codex, where you can check their story or details, and by capturing enough of their monsterling trinkets, you can earn some extra premium currency. And then Nyanners can also be leveled up by capturing monsters. And the higher his level is, the better the chances of finding higher grade monsterlings. Pretty standard stuff. Although, you can give Nyanners a custom name, and I chose a bunch of nonsensical. A quick overview of combat. You build a team of 3 units, each character belongs to a different role and element. For example, destroyers are good at staggering the enemies, while assassins deal better damage when the enemies are fully staggered. There's also supports, fighters, and so on. Every character also belongs to one of the elements, and they can apply statuses with elements of fire, wind, ice, earth, and lightning. But what's more interesting is that statuses with elements of fire, wind, ice, earth, and lightning. But what's more interesting is that some of the elite or boss enemies can only be interrupted by using specific elemental attacks. I'd say the combat has some similarities with ZZZ, but with the elemental system and a couple of unique mechanics, like you can stun the enemy for a brief moment when swapping similarities with ZZZ, but with the
Wait a minute. What's that animation?
elemental system and a couple of unique mechanics, like you can
Oh
stun the enemy
shit,
for a
man.
brief moment when swapping at the right time, and so on, the combat feels unique enough to stand out. I mean, it's also got standard stuff like each unit can perform their skill, ultimate, basic attacks, and they also have switch skills that happen when you swap between them. But I will say this, Mongol Stardive leans more to the cultured side when it comes to the character designs. The art style is quite big and bold, if you know what I mean. Nevertheless, I would still say the game's models are highly detailed, and I found a lot of the designs and voice acting to be really fun. My personal favorite is Flair. She is hot-headed, rude, and thinks she's better than anyone. I love it. Now, since this is a game that relies on gacha monetization, how is it? There's no 50-50 involved, and so far there's one featured character banner, which is Dismayed Esther, and you can also pull for her weapon, which the game calls it Artifact. A little confusing for those of us who play other gachas, to be honest, but there's also standard banner and standard weapon banner, on which you can select the 5-star standard weapon before pulling for it. I mean, gacha here is alright, especially since there's no 50-50, which to me sounds good enough. So moving over, let me tell you about the story and what I think about it. Okay, so you start the game by first selecting difficulty, which is quite interesting to see. And Verna, who is quite the meanie. She's always making fun of Cloud, but the meanie. She's always
What the hell?
making fun
You actually
of
show up
Cloud,
with
but they still function well enough as a duo and take on requests from the Monster Tamer Guild. After briefly getting used to the story, we find Monster function well enough as a duo and take on requests from the Monster Tamer Guild. After
Yep. Perfect game. Let's go.
briefly getting used to the story, we find out there's some kind of a corruption happening, and the duo set out to uncover who's the big bad guy behind it. I mean, look, the overall plot of the story is more of a means to an end, at least that's how I felt when I was watching it, but what truly stands out is the banter and comedy. This game does not take itself too seriously. Everyone's always ready to break the norms. Like, Flair calls this evil plague doctor an overgrown chicken. Or how about this cat girl nurse, who always wants to experiment on Cloud, and he's truly terrified of her. Like, I absolutely had a blast during the second act when I met up with Flair and Reina. Their interactions were really well written, and it was always fun to see what's the next thing they'll do, and I do like the idea of encountering different allies when I go back to the Monster Tamer Guild to check for new main story quests, and then I basically set off on a mini adventure in a typical fantasy world, but I am traveling with a band. Like, take for example Esther. As I said, she's the first featured unit, and she's a maid warrior. Typical and fight from the shadows. Again, pretty interesting what makes Mongol Stardive really shine. That and monster collecting. Besides that, there's a few other things you can expect to see when booting up the game, including some domain farming where you the game pretty much throws at you premium currency for any new discovery. So yeah, I definitely recommend Mongol Stardive. Yes, it's a sponsored video, but I first wanted to check out the game before committing to it. And I think those of you who especially like monster collecting will really enjoy this. Mongol Stardive is set to be released on April 15th, and you can click my link in the description to pre-register to it and also help support my channel. Thanks for watching the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Not bad. Actually. What is this even for? Oh. Okay, people are actually interested in this. I see. There's like Azure Promelian Mongol Star Drive. I see. Not bad, actually. Okay, where is that? No, it does not show it over here. It simply does not. You know what? Let me change this thing to something else. Wait, first of all.
Feather. Set it to multiply. And the final touch, place the Serra color precomposition on top. And again on the solid, we will...
Wait, what else can we change? think it's a little bit too low. It's not changing. Wait. No, I'm supposed to click this llama. This will be something like this. Yeah, I think this is like way better. Without this, with this, and without this, okay. I think the feathers are a bit too much. Wondering if that pixels is fine, I guess. Yeah, I think I like this better.
Select.
Ah, yes, this one. Okay, supremacy mode engaged.
This to be a mat. There we go. See now.
Let's add another mask then. Very subtle mask is something that we're gonna add, I suppose, somewhere here. No. Yeah, just one is enough, I suppose. What about mask 2 then? Very subtle, as I said. It didn't change much though. As for this, okay. This is good enough.
There's a gradient on top of the entire character. This is quite dark, so we will lower its opacity to 50%. You see how there's some shadow on the seat? You can repeat this as many times as you like, using solids to create gradients and then masking it to your character. This one I will just use the pen tool to do something like this. Move this on top. I'll just set it to multiply. We can make it so it's not there at the start and only after this can make masking it to your this as many times as you like, using solids to create gradients and then you can repeat this as many times as you like, using solids to create gradients and then masking it to your character. This one I will just use the pen tool to do something like this. Move this on top. I'll just set it to multiply. We can make it so it's not there at the start and only after this. We can make it so it's not top. We'll just set it to multiply. We can make it so it's not there at the start and only after this drawing we start having this. change the colors of the solid, all I have to do is go to Layer, Solid Settings. Let's make it more saturated, but lower its opacity. To change the colors of the solid, all I have to do is go to Layer, Solid Settings. Let's make it more saturated, but lower its opacity. I actually like it quite a bit. So just like we have a gradient from below, we could have another one from behind. So I will duplicate the one we already have and press R to get my rotation option behind. So I will duplicate the one
Not clear.
already have and press R to get my rotation options. Rotate it by changing the value and move it into position by using the arrow keys. There it is. This is a hack that I use a ton, and at the end of this video I will show you 10 more secret hacks that I used in post-production that will level up your game. I also recommend you give my cel-shading video a watch after this one, as it will teach you all about the steps we're going to apply so you know how to export your animation correctly. Using solids to create gradients is not limited to just your character. You can also use it on top of your background to push your values, or even to make corrections. For example, here this pillow was calling too much attention, so I painted down using a solid. And look at how much difference these 3 gradients do. A few gradients on top of your background, both for shadows and highlights, can make a ton of difference. This is another way you can push your values. One thing that's bothering me, so we're gonna do it right now, is create a new solid on top of the background using the same color. By clicking and holding here, I can change the rectangle to an ellipse and do a shape like this. Again, opening the mask, clicking here, I can change the points a little bit. I can use the pen tool to add another point over here. And with Control pressed, I can play with the tangents. I think it's a little noticeable what I'm doing, so turn it to can play with the tangents. I point the points a little bit. I can use the pen tool to add another point over here. And with Control pressed, I can play with the tangents. I think it's a little noticeable what I'm doing, so turn it to a multiply blending mode and the feather to 500 pixels, and I will animate its opacity. But for that, we need to get into how to animate in After Effects using keyframes. So far we get into pixels, and I will animate its opacity. The feather to so turn it to a multiply with the tangents. I think it's a little noticeable what I'm doing, so turn it to a multiply blending mode.
No
Feather
matter.
to 500 pixels, and I will animate its opacity. But for that, we need to get into how to animate in After Effects using keyframes. So far we have seen T for opacity or transparency and R for rotation. But we also have P for position, where you can control the X and Y values of a layer, and finally S for scale. And the cool thing is you can set keyframes to all of these values, but not only in terms of translation, but also to any layer property or effect. To show or hide the keyframes that you already set, you can use the U key. And let's look at what we did here. This is the stinger that I use at the start of every video, and there are a bunch of things happening together. First we have the typical lens flare, created by just painting a brush stroke like this, and then setting it on top with a linear dodge blending mode. But how do we animate it? Let's click on the stopwatch to delete all keyframes and throw its opacity back to 0. Just painting a but also and then setting it on top with a linear dodge blending mode. But how do we animate it? Let's click on the stopwatch to delete all keyframes and throw its opacity back to 0. If I wanted it to start on second 2, I will first click on this stopwatch to start recording keyframes. Then I will move to the point in opacity. Very sub case of the feet, and I'm this one to show you what it does. As soon as I deleted it, the character stopped zooming in. So let's go to layer, new, and null object. A null object is a layer that, similarly to the adjustment layer, it has no information in it. But you can't apply any effects to this one. Rather, this is a layer where you can apply animations to it, and then I can grab all the pieces of my character, for example, and using this button, dragging and dropping it on top of the null. So now this null is my parent for all of these layers. So if I set a keyframe to my position and scale on this null by clicking on the stopwatch icon, and I go further ahead and change its value, see how it created a keyframe automatically? Now all the layers that were parented will have that animation applied to them, aside from the animation that they already had, which is the rotation and movement to make it seem like she's assembling. Now there's something else you will notice. These keyframes look different. This is because they have acceleration and deceleration. To do that, let's go back to my null. I'm actually gonna move this ahead, and then I will turn the opacity to 0. Look at what will happen right now. Go over here, create a new keyframe. When she separates a little bit from the seat, lower the opacity to around 80. See how when she separates the opacity lowers, but it's still dark enough so it feels like she's near. And here we will animate the shape of the mask by closing it, open it again, and then we have the mask options. And here in the path, I will set a keyframe in the stopwatch. Here is our final position, and here we want it to be only her lower back. This is what we have so far. There we go, this looks way better. We can also set keyframes to any of our effects. So you can see here, I'm using blur to guide the eye from the right of the scene to the left. To see my effects, I need to click on my effects controls. I have 3 pieces to this scene. One is the wall, in the background. You can see where my painting skills fall apart. I have the tube in the background and the monitor in the front. Let's bring back the background. And if I grab this 2 and press U, we can see the keyframes that we set. Of course, from here, one will have its blur effect go from 0 to 15, while the other does the opposite. So when the blur starts on this one, it disappears from this one. But how do we set this blur? Let's delete it on both. And in my effects and presets, I will look for blur. And you'll see After Effects actually has a ton of them. We'll talk about them throughout the video, but the one I love the most for cinematic effects like this one is the camera lens blur, which of course imitates a real camera lens blur. So once I set it, normally effects start with a certain value already. You got to be careful. If you don't want this to be out of focus from the start, turn it back to 0. But then you will notice that right next to this value is the same stopwatch effect. Here, but then you will not careful if you don't, once I set it, which of course imitates a real camera lens blur. So once I set it, normally effects start with a certain value already. You got to be careful. If you don't want this to be out of focus from the start, turn it back to 0. But then you will notice that right next to this value is the same stopwatch effect. Here's where it gets interesting. You could actually set keyframes to any of these specific values in this effect. You can do that for every effect. That's how in-depth this could be. But for now, we're gonna set a keyframe here to the amount of blur, and then going over here, we're gonna set it to 15. Then we'll do the same for this one. So camera lens blur, we'll set a keyframe. At first, set it to 15 from the start, and then we set it to 0. And that is one way you can guide your audience to switch from one focus point to another. And with this, let's move into camera movement. Let's go back outside to our first composition. There's a cheeky cinematic trick that I will do, and it's create a new solid, make it completely black, extend it to the entire scene. In my composition settings for the main composition, we will change the height to just 800 and click OK. Now in this black solid, I will go back to my square. Let's move into camera movement. Let's go back outside to our first composition. There's a cheeky cinematic trick that I will do, and it's create a new solid, make it completely black, extend it to the entire scene. And in my composition settings for the main composition, we will change the height to just 800 and click OK. Now in this entire scene, a new solid, make it completely black, extend it to the entire scene. And in my composition settings for the main composition, we will change the height to just 800 and click OK. Now in this black solid, I will go back to my square and create a mask right at the borders, and then click on this button for the mask to be inverted. Now we're going back to the composition settings that I had before, so back to 180. And what we have now is a set of black bars that make it look really cinematic. Now let's decide on the framing for the scene. We have enough material for it to start really far away. So let's press P for position, S for scale, and set a keyframe for both. If I press U, I can see both keyframes, and from here to here, we will increase both. So let's press P for position, S for scale, and set a keyframe for both. If I press U, I can see both keyframes, and from here to here, we will increase the scale a tiny bit, and move the camera to the side, so we're basically zooming in. To create this zoom, we are obviously setting keyframes to our scale, but why are we also setting keyframes to our position? You see, if we only animate scale, it will only zoom into the center of the scene. If you also animate the position by using your arrow keys and shift, the zoom won't be into the center, but rather onto the point that you set. I did the same thing in the scene right next to it. See how it's actually zooming into the character? That's because it's not only animated the scale, but also the position a bit. We're gonna right click.
On social media and to her friends. She owns her own medical spa, so she's kind of advertising for that. So she'll like go TikTok live and go to Pilates. I don't really ask her if she's getting paid from it, but she screwed me in a really big way that like it's hard to just do life. She had her car repoed, so she needed to get another car, but she couldn't obviously because her credit was shot. So she had me put a car for her under my name, which I was already kind of skeptical about. But it's my mom. I gotta help her out with all the stuff that she's going through. It went well for a while, but then I started getting calls saying that she was like late on the payment or that she had missed a payment. The car ended up getting repoed. repoed, and that dinged my credit really hard. And then I got like $40,000 in like due rent for this place that she kind of screwed me on too. On top of that, she took out 4 different iPhone lines in my name and just kind of kept the phones and never returned them. So I got dinged for that too. The credit has stopped me from doing a lot in my life. I wanted to trade in my car and I can't. I wanted to move into a new apartment. I can't. So it's like shit that she's done has really kind of hindered me a lot.
How's your guys' relationship in general?
It was good, but I'd say after this, I don't know, it's not the same. My mom wants to be an influencer. My mom wants to be an influencer. I think she kind of got lost in the sauce. She's more worried about like her image on social media and to her friends and shit. She owns her own medical spa, so she's kind of advertising for that. So she'll like go TikTok live and go to Pilates. I don't really ask her if she's getting paid from it, but she screwed me in a really big way that like it's hard to just do life. She had her card repoed, so she needed to get another car, but she couldn't obviously because her credit was shot. So she.
Click this keyframe, go to the keyframe assistant and click on ease out. So it starts little by little. And it's gonna zoom in until here for this one, so we're gonna right click and click ease in. Let's take a look into more advanced applications of camera movements. Parallax consists of zooming in different layers at different speeds to create the illusion of depth. A great example is here, where I have different layers for the front of the car, character, the seats, back of the car, and finally that character in the background. If I press U, you can see all the keyframes, every one of
Here, new null object. It's blocking my thingy. I think it is blocking my thingy, bro. I think I should just put it over here. What cat is it even talking about? Okay, that maybe something like this. I guess it's fine. What is this line, bro? What? Okay, it's for the shadow. Okay. Yeah, I just need to remove this llama.
This has a different amount of zoom. The further back a layer is, the less it will move. You can do the same effect towards the side to generate the illusion that we're moving. Obviously, I also helped it a ton using blur to change the focus, so when we start focusing on this character, this one becomes blurry. We can also do some camera shake by using the wiggle function. The wiggle position, and here we can play with the options. The amount of pixels we can maybe reduce to 30. The wiggle speed, we can actually make it faster, I think it will look better. You can basically play with these options until you're content. Camera shake is one of the effects we have stolen from live action cinema. Most people think of really heavy action sequence where the camera is moving all over the place, but we can also use it subtly to make the audience feel like we are right there with the characters. We can emulate pans, where I animated the camera in a scene with a special perspective grid to follow the character movements. This type of perspective is just a 360-degree video template, like the ones you would use on Facebook. Another one is to have camera movements motivated by the characters acting, giving the action a lot more strength. This I applied to this scene as well. Okay, so here's with the camera movement and camera shake. So you can see it's very subtle, but you can feel it. Going back to shading, you may have noticed that I didn't export a highlight class for this scene. That is because we are going to generate the highlights automatically by using layer styles. For this, we're going back inside the full composition, be into the center, but rather into the point that you set. I did the same thing in the scene right next to it. The click on ease out. We're gonna right click this keyframe so we animated the scale, but it's actually zooming into the character. That's because it's not only
Hmm. Keyframe assistant is out. Yeah, I think that's how it should be. I think that's how it should be. Is this how it's supposed to be?
Did you know a custodian almost executed Robute Guilliman after the Siege of Terra? It is the era of ruin, and the Emperor is interred on the Golden Throne. Robute Guilliman has returned to Terra, declaring himself Lord Commander to stabilize a breaking empire. In the shadows of the palace stands Tribune Diocletian Koros, a warrior who views the Primarchs as nothing more than failed experiments. Inside a grand chamber, Guilliman calls for unity, but Diocletian only hears a demand for obedience. Guilliman's patience finally snaps as he tells the Golden Giant, "I grow weary of your mistrust, Tribune." The custodian freezes like a predator. He feels his heartbeat quicken as he fights the urge to strike. A wordless signal passes between the talons of the Emperor. The Sisters of Silence and other custodians shift their balance in perfect harmony, ready to kill the avenging sun where he stands. Diocletian knows they could butcher the Ultramarines before they even aim their weapons. He stares at the Primarch and asks softly, "Are you finished? Are you done?" Diocletian isn't convinced that killing the Lord Commander wouldn't be for the best. Every warrior in the room is ready to paint the floor in Primarch blood if their tribune gives the command. Who was the first custodian? To be killed.
Which brings me to the topic of today's sermon, the class of sub-hominids known as females.
At the close of the Unification Wars, the Legio Custodes were seen as ageless wonders. Xerxes was a veteran.
What happened to Horus's body after he was slain by the Emperor? After his defeat aboard the Vengeful Spirit and the destruction of his soul, Horus's body was recovered by Abaddon the Despoiler, who ordered a retreat into the Eye of Terror. On the world of Myelium, the sons of Horus used millions of slaves to build a vast fortress known as the Monument, where the body was put on display. Fabius Bile and forces of the Third Legion later attacked Myelium and seized Horus's body. Through his experiments, Bile succeeded in creating a clone, intending to unite the traitor legions under its rule. Eventually, Abaddon and his allies tracked them down. After the clone of Horus had slaughtered many of his warriors, the two finally faced each other. In the end, Abaddon destroyed both the clone and the original body, ensuring that no one would ever attempt to create another one again. What happened?
131.
Animated the scale, but also the position of it. We're gonna right click these keyframes, go to the keyframe assistant and click on ease out. So it starts little by little. And it's gonna zoom in until here for this one, so we're gonna right click and click ease in. Let's take a look into more advanced applications of camera movements. Parallax consists of zooming in different layers at different speeds to create the... We can also do some camera shake by using the wiggle function. The wiggle position, and here we can play with the options. The amount of pixels we can maybe raise to 30.
Wait, what did you put
By
there?
using the wiggle function. The wiggle position, and here we can play with the options. The amount of...
Wait, what? Oh, she also dropped something behind. Okay. He shoots. No way. They put auto aim in her. Are you serious? Ah, oh my gosh. Wait, she can throw that too? I never knew about it. What's her ultimate though? April 14th. Oh, these are like cluster bombs. Bro. It does like no damage. Yeah, exactly. If it has auto aim, then that means it shouldn't be able to deal that amount of damage, and it looks like it doesn't deal enough damage. Hmm. Okay, damn. That's actually insane.
got it! I got it! I got it! Oh, I got it! I got it! I got it!
200 for a minute in the water. Bro. Bro. Bro, really? Yeah, there is a poison going on in there. The fuck? He's gonna fall hard though. Yep, that's how it is. Oh shit, that's actually insane. Oh my gosh, it's Puff. Hello, Puff. How are you doing, Puff? Welcome, welcome. What are you up to? How have you been? Hope everything's going well. Let's go.
Pixels we can maybe reduce to 30. The wiggle speed we can actually make it faster. I think it would look better.
Okay, the wiggle effect, I see.
The wiggle. Here we can play a shake by using the wiggle function. The wiggle position. Here we can.
Wiggle precision. Wait, where is it even? Oh, I didn't know about it. Do I have to put it on top of it all? I think I should put it on top of it all. Okay, there you go.
Play with the options. The amount of pixels we can maybe reduce to 30. The wiggle speed we can actually make it faster. I think it would look better. We can basically play with the.
Oh, wait. How does it act like then? Wait, it actually looks good. Two. Okay, let's put it on two. Like 5 pixels, I suppose. Oh yeah, this looks good. This actually looks good. That's actually insane. Let's freaking go. Okay, zoom now is done.
Options until you're content. Camera shake is one of the effects we have stolen from live action cinema. Most people think of really heavy action sequence where the camera is moving all over the place, but we can also use it softly to make the audience feel like we are right there with the characters. We can emulate pans, where I animated the camera in a scene with a special perspective grid to follow the character movements. This type of perspective is just a 360-degree video template, like the ones you would use on Facebook. Another one is to have camera movements motivated by the characters acting, giving the action a lot more strength. This I applied to this scene as well. Okay, so here's with the camera movement and camera shake. You can see it's very soft, though, you can feel it. Going back to shading, you may have noticed that I didn't export a highlight pass for this scene. That is because we are going to generate the highlights automatically.
You know what, let me change one thing. Where's the composition settings for this? 30, okay. What about this? Yeah, I think I should also change it to like 30. Okay, then let's go. Okay, I think it looks good enough. Satisfactoria. Okay.
By using layer styles. For this, we're going back inside the full composition. Now we need to grab everything that's the character inside here and add it to another comp. Duplicate this character, right click and go to layer styles. And because we are going back inside the full composition. Now we need to grab everything that's the character inside here and add it to another comp. Duplicate this full character, right click.
Okay, I need to select this entire thing, I suppose. Yep. Wait, what was I supposed to do? Control shift. No.
And go to another comp. Now we need to grab everything that's the character inside here and add it to another comp. Duplicate this full that's the character inside here and add it to another comp.
I forgot what I was supposed to do here.
Duplicate this full
Was it? Control shift C? Yeah, it was. Character only. Okay, so this is the one, I suppose.
character, right click and go to layer styles. And we will add an right click and go to another comp, duplicate this full character.
Under character only, let's duplicate it using Control D. It's done. Then right click. What was I supposed to do? Layer styles. I did not know there are so many of them. Wait, what?
Right click and go to layer styles. And we will add an inner shadow. So right
Okay. Inner shadow. What the hell?
now what the layer style is doing, let's make this bigger, is by moving the distance and the angle, it's offsetting the entire silhouette of the character.
Okay, inner shadow. Angle, distance, size. Noise. Wait, why is it like multiply? No. And why do we even need shadows? No, I don't need to see it in essential graphics. Not really. Bro, what? And put the invisible bottom. Passport. Mm. Lamar. Bro, what even is this, bro?
But I knew that if only you could see what the other gods could not. You would join me, and with our powers combined, we could finally end all the pain, all the suffering, the destruction they bring.
I can never be a part of that.
I don't want to fight, but if I must.
They do not deserve your protection!
It's not about deserve. It's about what you believe.
I will destroy you!
Goodbye, brother. Can't kill her. Can't kill her.
Only a god can kill another god.
You liar. I compel you to tell me the truth.
I am. Oh, my dear, you have so much to learn.
They're everything you say, but so much more.
When you first arrived, I was going to crush you. But I knew that if only you could see what the other gods could not.
can never be a part of that.
I don't want to fight you, my little honey.
They do not deserve your protection!
It's not about deserve. It's about what you believe.
Animals begin to show the cock killing bite while the warthog thrashes cost. Both of the cheetah needs. The predator lunges instantly up to a heavy, lifeless weight. Predator to a heavy, lifeless weight clamped in the mother's jaws. For one brief moment, she has done the impossible. A prey animal has turned on a predator and won. But the savannah is not finished yet. Across the plain, another mother has heard the sounds of distress. The cheetah launches at the warthog the moment it tries to flee. With claws gripping and jaws snapping. With grim determination, she drags the cub across the ground, pulling it through the dust as it struggles in vain. Mother has heard the squealy beneath it. Two mothers meet. It tries to flee. Across flapping and jaws snapping. The predator tries to land a killing bite while the warthog thrashes desperately beneath it. Two mothers meeting at the raw edge of loss. Here, motherhood is not gentle. It is fierce, unyielding, and willing to stand in the path of death. They are enemies, but they are also mirrors of one another. Neither mother is fighting for victory alone, but for what has already been taken from her. As the struggle drags on, both animals begin to show the cost of the encounter, each one wounded, exhausted, and driven on only by survival. The struggle has devolved from a calculated hunt into a chaotic and brutal contest of pure physical attrition. Now the battle enters its harshest phase, where uncertainty begins to fall away. Both of them are pushed to their limits, and the moment of reckoning is no longer far off. The struggle hardens into something decisive, where the wild begins to reveal its choice. She fought not for victory, but for vengeance and for duty. Against the full-grown cheetah, her chances are slim. In one final mistake, the warthog loses its footing for just a moment. And that single slip is all the cheetah needs. The predator lunges instantly, fast and precise, locking its jaws around the warthog's neck. On the savannah, death is never far away, but neither is devotion. And perhaps that is the deepest wisdom, that even in a world ruled by hunger, love still stands and fights.
Bro, what's even going on here?
ਵੈਸੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਾ ਸਿਰ ਵੱਜ ਗਿਆ ਨਵੀਦ ਦਾ
Bro.
Oh, talk, please.
This thing has come out of the sky. You're right.
Yeah.
Shit out. Well,
Now, let's go.
my name is
never existed, and it never will. Queer people have always been here amongst us. They are our coworkers, they are our brothers, our sisters, they are our mothers, our fathers, they are our families. Drag is art, drag is culture, drag is educational, drag is creative, drag is comedy, but drag is not a crime. My name is Scarlett Bobo, and thank you so much for your time. We will not let
Okay, enough. Oh my gosh. What a reference. That's actually insane. That's really nice. From the fun room to have fun. Bro, how? What? Wait, what? That's a thing. Bro, what? Really? Bro. We have even worse than bro. What is even going on in there? Wait, where's that video, by the way?
And it has the entire animation. We will create a rim light. So place
Okay.
it on the front.
Wait, what are you trying to do? Rim lights, okay.
Going back to shading, you may have noticed that I didn't export a highlight pass for this scene. That is because we are going to generate the highlights automatically by using layer styles. For this, we're going back.
Oh, okay, that was a part that I was working on.
We need to grab everything here and add it to another comp, duplicate this full character, right click.
Wait, I don't understand though.
Styles. And we will add an inner shadow. So right now what the layer style is doing, and with this full character, right click and go to layer styles. And we will add an right click and add it to another comp, duplicate this full character, right click and go to layer styles. And we will add an inner shadow. So right now what the layer style is doing, let's make this bigger, is by moving the distance and the angle, it's offsetting the entire.
Okay, inner shadow. Normal, was it? Was it multiply? Okay, let's keep it that way then. Why is it building distance like changing there?
Silhouette of the character, and it has the entire animation. We will create a rim light. So we place it on the front.
And by the way, why does it look like this? Size is... I just realized, what are all this? Oh, it's protruding outside. This is how it's working. Wait, what is the size 5? Zero.
Make the distance way smaller, and we'll change the color to, let's do an orange.
Okay, what size did you remember? Oh. I change this, then what's the angle then? Okay, changing angle doesn't do it for me. Oh. Um,
More saturated. And the blending mode, let's do linear dodge. And the size is actually how soft edge we want to make it.
linear dodge. Wait. I think I messed up a bit. Layer styles. I need to change this setting. Check for this. Delete this. And what is it called? Layer styles. Yeah, I think inner shadow. Okay. Inner glow. I think I'll prefer this. Opacity 75% noise. Color type. And technique size 5. Range. Oh. It looks a little weird. Oh. What about choke? What's the choke? Oh, I see. Techniques of single color. I think I should go on the orange side. Okay. Single color, color type. What about gradient? No. Blend mode, screen. Opacity. I think I should just decrease the opacity. Inner glow. Mhm. I don't see anything else. What? Where's my record? Chaos. Okay, is this stream going any good though?
ऊपर बैरल में खड़ा कर दिया ये क्या पावर है यार इसके
What's the hurry?
Come a little closer.
What the hell?
Bro. हाँ यार ये घूम घूम के अपना टोर्नेडो लेके आ रहा है
Come a little closer.
भाग रही हूँ मैं तो
Wait, what?
भाग भाग के मारना पड़ेगा इसको
5 4 2016.
भाई मेरे में भरोसा नहीं है इसको कुछ कर सकते
You're in for a little shock.
भाई ऐसे दूर जाके गिरते ना ये लोग क्या बताऊँ मैं इसके बारे में यार
For 10,000 years, mankind has prayed for the Emperor to rise from his golden throne. Now it's happening. But as his consciousness thunders back to life, billions are dying, their minds erased in an instant. The custodies who guarded him for centuries are falling to their knees. Only Captain Malkian.
So let's do like 20. We can also play with the opacity. So this is 100%. Let's go down to 50. There are certain frames where it looks really well. Now we can add this to another pre-comp. We will click to move all attributes into the new layer. So the layer style goes into this. Why? Because this version we want to mask out. This is why we duplicated the comp where we use the layer style on. This is an optional pass, but personally I prefer when highlights are not the same opacity all the way through. See, now you cannot see the rim light beyond the mask. So I will open the mask options and add more feather. So now the highlights will be softer on top. This type of highlights only works if your light source is either behind or to the side of the character. Otherwise it's gonna make your animation look flat. Highlights can also now you cannot see the comp where we use attributes into the new layer. Add this to another pre-comp. We will click to move all attributes into the new layer. So the layer style goes into this. Why? Because this version we want to mask out. This is why we duplicated the comp where we use the layer style on. This is an optional pass, but personally I prefer when highlights are not the same opacity all the way through. See, now you cannot see the rim light beyond the mask. So I will open the mask options and add more feather. So now the highlights will be softer on top. This type of highlights only works if your light source is either behind or to the side of the character. Otherwise it's gonna make your animation look flat. Highlights can be on the mask. So I will open the mask options and add more feather. So now the highlights will be softer on top. This type of highlights only works if your light source.
Wait, what did it do?
Open the mask up through. See, now you can I prefer when we use the layers we want to mask out. This is why we duplicated the comp where we use the layer style on. This is an optional pass, but personally I prefer when highlights are not the same opacity all the way through. See, now you cannot see the rim light beyond the mask. So I will open the mask options and add more feather. So now the highlights will be softer on top. This type of highlights only works if your light source is either behind or to the side of the character. Otherwise it's gonna make your animation look flat. Highlights can also be painted traditionally, just like we did our shadows. Here's my highlight pass for this scene. And one thing you'll notice is I actually wasn't that careful when painting it, so it doesn't go outside of the character's silhouette. This was on purpose, because I wanted it to change the color of the line art. But to do this, I need to make a pre-comp that has all the layers of the character, including the line art. I have moved everything inside here, and if I go back outside, we have this pre-comp, and just like we did before, I will duplicate it, place it on top of the layer that we want to mask, and in the highlights layer, go to matte and select the one on top. Now the character silhouette is what delimits my highlights. I can now use a blending mode like add, lower its opacity, and it's applied. We can also use the rectangle tool to create a mask on top of these highlights, and going to my mask options, I will play with my feather, and what I'm trying to do is to make this soft edge to the highlights. It's also happening right here, and in my opinion this looks better than just a highlight that's the same opacity all throughout. So this is our result so far. I think this is a pretty professional looking shot if we compare to what we had at first. Okay, what if we did a lighting change to indicate that something is going on outside of the ship? That's why she... Okay, what if... Okay, what... Okay, what if... Okay, what... Okay, lights. It's also happening right here, and in my opinion this looks better than just a highlight that's the same opacity all throughout. So this is our result so far. I think this is a pretty professional looking shot if we compare to what we had at first. Okay. Okay, what if we did a lighting change to indicate that something is going on outside of the ship? That's why she looks so worried about it. For that, go to layer, new, and adjustment layer. Let's use some levels to change the lighting. Let's make a new one, and in this one let's do some hue and saturation and colorize everything to red. And I will apply it on top with an overlay blending mode. I will also add an orange solid on top with a lighten blending mode, and then I'm gonna mask it out so it only affects the side of the scene. What happens if we animate their opacity from 0 to that? You can have an idea what's going on.
Will she survive? You know what to do if you want to find out.
Moving the values really helps sell the intensity of the light. If I did
Okay, not bad, not bad. You there. Bismillah.
Remains standing, watching in horror as he realizes the terrible truth. This isn't salvation. I was there when the Emperor opened his eyes. 10,000 years of unwavering vigilance, and not once had I imagined this moment would fill me with such terror. My name is Captain Malkian Vane of the Adeptus Custodes, the 10,000, his personal guard. We who stand eternal watch over the golden throne. We who have witnessed the slow decay of a god for millennia. We who have seen empires rise and fall while we maintain our endless vigil, and now I alone remain to tell of what truly happened when he awakened. The first sign came without warning, a tremor through the floor of the inner.
A servitor.
didn't, it would look like this. But with the values, you can now see how intense.
You know what to do if you want to find out.
Intensity of the light. If I didn't, it would look like this. But with the values, you can now see how intense is the light that's coming from the front. Now right here, something I don't like. When doing this with the values, you can see the white of her teeth and her eyes is blowing up. So the way I will fix this is by again adding another adjustment layer.
Okay, this is like on top of everything, right? So another adjustment layer. Yeah, I want it on top of everything, right? So then
But inside of the character, at the very end, I just gotta see where does this effect start, right at 4.5 seconds, and I will use cubes to crush just the white colors. And with opacity, right here will be 100%, over here, 0. Over here, see how now the highlight's still pretty strong, but not her white colors. A subtle example of animating a lighting change is this scene. On this side, I made the local colors really dark, but as he gets closer to the right, the local colors start getting brighter and brighter, but the shadow path remains dark. So if I turn it off, now you can see the difference quite clearly, where his values here are way brighter than when he's over here. He's super dark. If we turn the shadows back on, it seems like it's the light
sequence.
But we're not done yet. Before moving on to exporting, I will give you 10.
Okay, so what are they supposed to do? Hue and saturation. Yes. Green to yellow. Yeah, I think somewhere around this. Okay. Effects, hue and saturation. And I'm supposed to change its mode to overlay. Was it linear dodge? What?
Rapid fire post-production hacks that will level up your game. If you want access not only to these shots, number 1, bloom effect. Duplicate our final composition and look up the curve effect. And what curves do is from left to right, it represents all the values in the scene going from the darkest to the brightest. We're going to crush all the darkest values, but actually make the highlights stronger. Then we're going to look for a Gaussian blur, throw it on top, and give it some blur. And now we have the normal one and this one. And we're going to apply it. Let's try it with some add. Lower the opacity to like 15%. What we're doing with this bloom effect is emulate how the brightest values in a live action
Okay, why is the blue like really blue over there? I need to change that. Hue and saturation. Actually, let's work on this alone. Ah, actually, I have to change something here. I guess that's how it is. Yeah, I think I should have played it differently. That's the reason. Pick 3. Okay, but I understand how this thing works. I see how it is.
रणबीर कपूर के हेटर्स के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी खुशखबरी है, क्योंकि रामायण में रणबीर के इस फर्स्ट लुक के रिवील होते ही सभी ने रणबीर के इस वाले एक्सप्रेशन को, जो मुझे तो पर्सनली बहुत ही ज्यादा डिवाइन लगा, लेकिन कुछ लोग इसे एनिमल के ये वाले जीजा मारने के बाद इस वाले एक्सप्रेशन से कंपेयर करके उसे चालाक और सीक्रेटिवली इविल बता के सीधा ये तक बोल रहे हैं कि अभी भी टाइम है, रणबीर को रामायण से बाहर कर रणवीर सिंह को उसकी जगह रिप्लेस कर दो। उन सभी के कलेजे को ये सुनकर ठंडक पहुंचेगी कि खुद रणबीर कपूर भी तुम्हारी बात से अग्री करता है, क्योंकि टीजर लॉन्च के बाद खुद रणबीर ने ये कहा था कि आज से 4 साल पहले जब नमित मल्होत्रा मेरे पास श्री राम का रोल लाए, मेरा उसी पल उनको ये इंस्टेंट रिएक्शन था कि मैं प्रभु को दर्शाने ना उतना फिट हूँ, ना उतना अच्छा, और ना ही मैं इस रोल को फुल जस्टिस दे पाऊंगा। लेकिन फिर जब मैं राहा के जन्म के बाद एक पिता बना ये रोल प्ले करने के लिए, वो मेरा टर्निंग पॉइंट था। रणबीर कपूर के हेटर्स के लिए
I think the levels are good enough for now. What is it called?
Film tend to bleed out, causing issues. Okay, now I will. Okay, what if we did a lighting change to indicate that something is going on outside of the ship? That's why she looks so worried about it. For that, we will go to layer, new, and adjustment layer. Let's use some levels to change the lighting. Let's make a new one, and in this one, let's do some hue and saturation and colorize everything to red. And I will apply it on top with an overlay blend.
Okay, wait. Yeah, I think this is the color that's supposed to be. No. And wait, hard mix. Oh.
Mode. I will also add an
Yeah, I think I should put a bit of max and then change the opacity accordingly. Just leave it like actually not bad. I think this is the desired scene that I'm wanting to look for. Hard light, soft light, overlay. I think linear is better. Subtract. Leave it. Linear. Yep, linear is better. Yes. And let's add one thing for wait, I should put it on top of everything, right? So layer new solid. Yellow color, yeah, that's how it's gonna be. And then let's add a mask. Wait, it's gonna be something like this. It's gonna be looking something like this. Put this at the center. Set key animation frames. Okay. Mask. overlay. Actually, I think that's how it's gonna be. And now, for the opacity, oh, let's save it and end my stream here.
Orange solid on top with a light and blending mode, and then I'm gonna mask it out so it only affects the side. Now let's look at how to export things. If you made it this far, this is a secret callout. Tell me in the comments which of these 10 post-production hacks is your favorite and what you're gonna use it for. Thank you for being here. See, most of the time you would just go to File, Export, and send to a media encoder, as it is the best way to export from After Effects. The profile I recommend is clicking here. You want to set your format to H264.
Export media encoder. Okay, is there any other way?
Set your preset by clicking here to Vimeo 1080 full HD. It's a good balance and 1080. Where you want to save it, then click OK. It will be already set. Just click OK. Select where you want to save it. Ctrl and M. Reason you cannot use me clicking on this little play icon. If for some reason you cannot use media encoder, we can also just press Ctrl and M to send this project to the render queue.
Okay.
Side of After Effects. Click where it says lossless, change the format. The most common one is H264.
High quality it says.
Watch out for your audio options.
Okay, wait, it should be lossless, right?
To be on. The most side of After Effects. Click where it says lossless, change the format. The most common is H264. Watch out for your audio options to be on if you need them. I'm gonna turn it off. Click OK, and now on this text you can select where you want it to.
Wait, what?
Save. Click OK. Watch out for your change the format. The most common is H.264. Watch out for your audio.
Where's H.264? There's no H.264. Bro, what? Oh, it's QuickTime. Okay. Output to a test.
Options to be on if you need them. I'm gonna turn it off. Click OK. And now on this text, you can select where you want it to save. And now you can press render. And this is our final result.
Oh, this looks way better than before. Let's go, it's done. Okay, let's see how it is. The fuck? Wait. No way. Actually, no freaking way this happened. My composition settings.
If you want to learn exactly how to cel shade your animation before exporting it. Number 4, time remap. If for some reason I look at my animation and I say, oh no, this is too fast or too slow, you can remap the timing. To do that, well, first let me turn off all the effects. This is the one that will work, so let me change the color so you can see it very clearly. I will right click, go to time and enable time remapping.
128, right? Wait, I need to check this properly. Like, what? It has not changed. What?
Now I will get 2 keyframes. These 2 keyframes are
Composition setting, it's 128, right? Time to mapping.
the beginning and end of the scene, so obviously if I bring this one to the middle, now it will be extremely fast. Because I'm making the duration of the scene last half as long.
Bro, Export render queue. It should be lossless, right? AVI, QuickTime, audio off, okay. Yes. Okay, let me see first. Why is it like this? Bro, what? Okay, why is it working this way? I don't understand, but never mind. You know what? Enough for today. Bye bye.